cool winter's day. Well, autumn actually. And I'm in the shed. You've actually got your back to the fire. Hope you're nice and warm, wherever you are. And the tank has become a side project for me, or I've been working at it actually, to be honest. It's about 2 weeks since I painted it, maybe 2 and a bit, 2 and a little bit. And it's time for me to start thinking about painting the cream panels and the red stripe and the gold stripes and the decal. Now, of course, the round tank has got straps and I hate them because the reality is they're gonna gouge the paint. Whatever way I do it, they're gonna gouge the paint. So that's gonna be a pain in the bottom. My solution to the straps, or I've got a couple of thoughts. I had thought about rubber underneath, and I just don't think that that's going to do the job. Or I don't think anything's going to do the job. I think eventually everything is going to wear through and everything is going to be a problem. So I lashed out and I bought some really nice quality black tape. This is called cloth tape here in Australia, and so it's relatively durable and strong, and I wouldn't say it was expensive, but you know, at the same time I don't know that it was cheap. And I'm going to put the back of it, I'm going to do the back of this bracket with tape and see how that goes. Because I think to do the decals properly, I really need the tank to be on the frame. Go back and look at my torpedo if you need to know why. So the tape's too big, of course, and I'm just paring the edges off. Now, I'm going to do that. And I might even pop the tank on the frame and then come back to you. Got a bit of a low battery problem. On the tank, I've put frog tape, which is a painter's tape, where I think, so the 2 paler green lines are where I think the brackets go. The larger bracket, remind me of this later, or the one that looks a little bit larger, is the front. So I'm going to charge you up. So get ready, and then we'll come back and we'll do a bit of something. Camera's charged as much as it's going to be. So I've moved on a lot since I threw the camera on the charger, but you know, nothing consequential. Finished up with those straps, and then I put them down the tape lines I had. What's my logic for the tape lines? Down here is the fuel tap. And on all the images I've seen, the front strap runs between the oil and the fuel cap. So it leaves you a gap in the middle of about, leaves you 270 mil. I don't know what that is in foreigner language, but you know, maybe it's 11 inches. And then you've got a decal that's 90 mil and a decal that's 35 or 40 mil. But this one sits inside a cream box with a red band around it. And then there's a plain cream box back here. The rear strap could go back further, but I think the straps would look funny, if you like. So I think the front has a slight curve and a slight curve in the front and the back to allow for this oval shaped decal in the middle. I still need to leave room for the red pinstripe on the cream. So, you know, the cream panel can only really be 110, or maybe it was 4 inches. Maybe it was a 4-inch panel, which is, 100 millish. Don't know. Haven't got anything to copy. Everything I look at online is really different. So I'm going to risk it for a biscuit and start thinking about how to tape this up. I'm not really sure. What I know is that I need about a 2-inch gap for that decal. I better talk my language. I need 50 mil, maybe 55, probably 55. And then I've got a box here. So the box here is going to be whatever's left over, and I'm going to get the BSA logo. I'm going to put it about there. What do you think? I think it's about right. You'd see it. I just need to get it straight. How am I going to do that? Not really sure. Going to measure from the top of the tank, roll that over and say, that's 85 mil to that green tape. And so, I'll lift that. Oh, no, not 80. Oh! Throwing my nice decal on the ground. Not 85 mil to the tape. 85 mil to the top of the cream panel. That's what we want. Now, I'll put that decal away until I have taped up what I think is the right size. I've been on a wing and a prayer, but I have got a little bit of method to my madness. So this is the outline of what the cream panel will be. That is going to sit about there, I think. No, I don't think, I know. And this is going to sit in there. And that should be about right. So what is it? Well, I made it up. I looked at pictures online until I got something I thought looked okay. I rolled the tape, or the rule, 85 millimeters and created a straight line, this tiny white pencil marks, and I've got a white marking pencil. Then I rolled 45 millimeters because I think it looks about right. Then I just used a pattern to scribe a curve, laid the first one on, held the decal up and laid the second one on. Now I think that looks okay. In most of the images, pardon me, I can find the second panel is slightly smaller than the first. And in my mind, that all fits. Perhaps the front, the red will be tight, and some of them I see gold around them. You wouldn't get the gold around it because of the tank strap. That'd annoy me. I'm going to push on, I think. Awkward. I'm going to look at a few more pictures because I've just thought of the gold. And that would be incredibly annoying if I go for the gold and there's no room because of the tank strap. There'd also be no room back here. I'd have to make this shorter to get the... And some of them have a single gold line. Some have a double gold line. They're very generous with the gold line. Maybe up to, I don't know, looks like 3/4 of an inch between the two gold lines. And some have no gold lines. A whole range of things people do. What would Chris like to do? That's the question. Well, ultimately, he might like a single gold line. And he could get a single gold line at the front if he pulled that decal back just a hair. If he pulled the circle back a hair as well, you'd have room to pull the whole thing back and you'd get a gold line. And then you'd have to pull this forward. You'd end up with boxes that were smaller. I'm going to have to think about all that. I doubt you'll even notice a difference. But I've widened this tape mark here, and I've widened this tape mark here. I've moved that back a little bit, say 10, 15 mil. And then I've just got room for the BSA logo, plenty of room for that, and then a panel. I reckon that's about right. So this panel to the inside of the curve is 105, 106. This panel is about 76. And the middle is 65 because I measured that before. I reckon that's much, much closer. And I think it looks okay. Doing a lot of thinking here. It's when you offer the logo up that you think, oh yeah, that's about right. It's about right. It's very hard to tell. I didn't want to be over the curve of the tank. The curve of the tank's about, you know, in my mind is about there. But I didn't want to pull it up too close to the fuel filler. It looks like it should be there-ish. There. That's what it looks like to me. God, I'm stressing over this. What do you think? I've made the decision that that looks okay. Now, my only fear is being ever so slightly low. But, I don't know, you've had a long look at it now. I suppose by the time you see this, it'll be done. It'll be over. But I'm feeling like that's going to be okay. I've done this side as well, off camera. Same but different. Didn't take long, that's for sure. So there's 2 bolts here at the front that hold the bracket that holds the frame on. Then there's the tank straps that are on these awful long bolts, but you know, every chance I scratch the tank getting these off. No, didn't. But over time, the tank's got to wear along those lines. It's just got to. It must have been an issue. Well, they stopped doing it, didn't they? I don't know. Maybe it was a bright idea someone had that was going to change the world in the 20s, and they did it once and then stopped. Right. That's pretty good. Let me put those away, which in my books is just sitting on the bench. Now, Gary, that made the tank and put this whole thing together, cheers to Gary, had a couple of bits of quite coarse, thick rubber. I'm going to say 4 or 5 mil in there to protect the tank. And now the tank rolls out of there quite snugly, but carefully. And when you roll it, it comes out. And there it is. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint it. Heavens, I hope this works. Because if it doesn't, I'm going to be well miffed. So, I bought some of this plastic stuff that I think people use in house painting. Oh, I might go a bit longer. And it's a plastic sheet. And I'm going to wrap that like that. And then I'm going to find myself a pair of scissors and cut that off. Bear with me while I find scissors though. I'm back from the kitchen with the kitchen scissors. So you just cut this plastic off and then you can fold it out. I'm not going to fold it out just for a minute. Now I don't think you can see my head real well, which is not a huge loss, I wouldn't have thought. The primary focus of this is I want to show you my plan. My plan wasn't to stick the plastic to the tape. So this stuff was about, I think it was $8 a roll. I didn't think it was a ridiculous amount of money. Considering what I'm trying to achieve. I will frog tape over the top of that again. I'll pull those down. Yeah, that looks okay. I'm going to do the ends as well, but I'm going to fold that out a little bit. And you'll see that when you're folding that out a little bit, you get this plastic coverage, you know, like fancy guys do on the internet, on the YouTube. And you're thinking, wow, look at that. He's a spray painter. It's nice and warm in the shed this afternoon because I've got the heater going. It's started to get a bit cool outside, I'll grant you that. But, you know, I feel like I'm going to paint this afternoon, or I'm going to paint one side because I reckon it's a 2 or 3 day job to paint both sides. I'm being pretty generous with this stuff. They don't give refunds for the bit that you've got left over, so, you know, doesn't seem a lot of point in being chintzy with it, they might say. Now that looks pretty good to me. I'd call that good. I really would. There we go. A little gap there. That looks good enough for me. I'm going to get the frog tape and just frog tape these weird bits again to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So here at home, this product called frog tape appears to be the premium product for leaving a crisp line. And that's what I'm looking for, a crisp line. Although, I think I could probably tidy up the line with the red pinstripe. And I'm half tempted to put vinyl on, a vinyl stripe. And that's because I probably could do it myself. I probably could do it myself. That looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna turn it over. And I'm going to do the other side probably just the same, except I'm going to tape down the plastic that I've already got there. I'll spread it all out like that, and hopefully like that. And like that. Now, I'm going to call this the spray booth for the sake of the argument. And people can tell me I'm wrong or not. I don't really mind. You'll be right. Give me some time. I'm going to clean up and think about applying some paint. Happy days. Now, covering green with cream is never going to be easy. But I'm hoping to get a good result. So we'd nearly call that coat number 1, eh? That's taken nothing at all. I'm going to leave it alone for 5 minutes and then I'm going to gently touch it again because boy, you don't need a lot of paint. Okay. you missed coat number 2 because I shot it from where you're standing, and it worked out really well. Also, I was watching YouTube, so I was cheating. There's coat number 3. This is getting close to being good. I reckon this is the final coat. This is 4, and 5, 6, 7 minutes between coats. That's a pretty generous coat and all, and I'm going to call that good and leave it alone. Let me blow out the can and we'll talk about it. Nothing better than a video of paint drying. But there it is. There's the cream panels. Now they're very cream, really. Probably creamier than I wanted, but it is what it is. The paint is relatively thick. You can see the tape, but you can see I've got good coverage everywhere and everything looks all right. So what next? Well, I'm gonna take a seat in front of my little shed fire. I'm gonna move those cables and move that back. I'm gonna watch a bit of YouTube, treat myself to a Pepsi and let all that dry. Sadly, no sound for these files, or the next 2 or 3. So I've taken the opportunity to speed things up a bit. You're only watching me unwrap the plastic, not rocket science. Everything went really well, especially seeing in the last clip, I had an open fire and was spray painting. So I never exploded. So apologies about that. That was very foolish on my behalf. Plastic's coming off really easily, and at this stage, everything looks pretty good. So no real complaints with the way things look. I do think now, with the benefit of hindsight, there's another little bleed through, that I was way too heavy with the paint, especially the last couple of coats. Just too heavy, which is one of the problems I have with painting. I just get too heavy-handed and get sags and runs. Still, at this point, I think it's pretty good. There's about 4 little blobby bits, let's call them that, that have just leaked under the tape. And now finally, as the chainsaw next door cutting trees rips through everything, just gonna put some paint on this second side. This is Sunday morning and I'm just acknowledging Stuart's wife's concerns about my lack of use of a mask. So I did have a mask, a P2 mask, and I did put it on. Now, again, with the benefit of hindsight and knowing how all this turns out, I'm just too heavy-handed here, just way too heavy-handed, and I pay the price in results later. So with trying to minimise this voiceover footage, this is a fisheye that appeared in the paint, and there's a little bob to the left of it. I'd really love to know what causes that fisheye. There's a kind of dot right in the middle. And again, you can see how heavy I've been foolishly trying to fill that fisheye, when obviously there's something on the paint. The front panel, well, it's painted really well, but my foolishness for too much paint does pay a price, that's for sure. Back into the workshop proper with the tank. Can I shut the door? It's cold. This is the other side, of course, and for you, oh, well, it's probably only been a second. For me, it's been 24 hours, and it's time to have a look at this side. Now, I'm a bit sulky about the other side and the bleed through that I had. I was hoping not to get any in a perfect world, but when I'm not sulky, I think, oh, that worked out pretty much as I thought. This side, I suppose I'm a bit miffed about the fisheye bit. I really don't know how that came to be. This side is not looking good at this point. Not looking good. I've got a lot of bleed through underneath this top layer of frog tape. Lots of bleed through. Let's hope the bottom layer is much better than that. Because, I don't know. Now I've got paint on it. Let me get a little bit of wax and grease remover and a cloth. Cloth's going to elude me, and wipe that. There's thick paint that hasn't dried properly, and I've put my finger in it, and then I'll put my finger on the tank. Okay. I think it's possibly dry enough to unmask, so I'm going to continue on. It was a cool night, and this was in what I call my garage. The place where I would keep cars, except it's full of motorbike junk and other junk. So this is my workshop. And it occurs to me looking up at you that you can see diddly. So let's give you a bird's eye view of the unmask of the edges and see how terrible they are. Rightio. I can already see bleed through on the corners here. That's going to annoy me. I don't know why I've got worse bleed through on this side than I had on the other side. Yeah, bleed through on the corners. That's frustrating. I reckon I put that paint on too thick. That's really thick. That edge is really thick. Like really thick. Wow. That could be one of my failings, peeps. Oh, massive bleed throughs. Massive. What's my son say? It was all going so well until it wasn't. Now I've got paint on the tank again. Oh, that's bloody awful. Shit, hate that. Rightio. Pardon my language, people. I really don't like it. Really don't like it. That's a real disappointment. That is a real disappointment. And I don't know whether to wipe it or not. It can be wiped at this point by the look of it. Some of it. What do? I'd like to clean some of that off before it gets too bad. And 3 cotton buds. And yes, I can polish, wipe or clean the paint back a little bit. And that doesn't leave me quite so traumatised. Because I'm going to put a red edge on it. I'd really like those to clean away. And they do. So what happened, I wonder? Well, my first thought is that in a reaction to the fisheye thing, I applied paint too heavy. That would be my thought immediately, that this is all Chris's fault and too many coats of too much paint led to bleeding through. Now, for all my bad language and all that sort of stuff, that's actually going to clean up okay. I'm just going to keep cleaning though, because I don't want smears left on the tank. So I think that's actually going to clean up really good. And of course I'm going to pinstripe that. So that's going to make a difference. So I've just got a cotton tip, bud thing, whatever you call them. And I'm just cleaning the really, what I think are big bits, back a bit. And then trying to clean the smeared paint, so I don't leave a nasty mark. Oh, that's making me feel better. Yeah, that's making me feel much better. Don't know that I've gone from zero to hero, but I certainly feel better about it. Oh dear, wow. Rightio. So I've still got blurry edges, but the red pinstripe around all of that, I think is going to solve that. I've got a smear there. Rightio. I'm not unhappy with what I've achieved. Again, I would have, in the past, sent this off to someone else, and I would have had to pay up for it. All right. I'd like to get the tape off that's around the tank. And if there's a mark, I won't feel too bad because I won't. Because that's where the tank straps were, is what I'm trying to get to. Now, my only fear, well, no, I've got so many fears I don't know what to do with them. One of my genuine concerns is that I may have the panels a hair low, like 5mm low. I don't know. I don't think it will be enough to annoy the life out of me, but it might be enough to annoy me. Doesn't take much some days. But the frog tape has come off pretty well. And now this is going to need a couple of weeks to really harden up and go off. I suspect I want that to sit there, and it won't. Don't fall off. Well, that's a pain in the bottom. Right, get that cloth back under there. And you can have a bit of a look. So there's the side I don't like, and I suppose the other side's not much better. Maybe I just got hung up on all the bleed through. And there's the other side. And, you know, oh, smeared it. Let me clean up. Good Lord. I'm a goose. I think I'm pretty pleased. Overall, that's a job I wasn't sure I could do. And I didn't think I could do it. This bike has really turned into a bit of I'll do it myself moment. It used to be my daughter when she was about two and a half. And her favourite expressions was, I'll do it myself. And she's still like that 30 years later. Beautiful girl. She was very focused on doing it herself. This, for me, has just been about that. And I think the tank should sit about like that. You know what? I think when the red stripe's on, that's going to look okay. And if it doesn't, I did it myself and I did the best I could. And that's the other part of it. I could pay someone a lot of money to do a lot of things for me and it'd be mint, but I didn't do it myself. So, I don't know, I really like that. I really like that. I reckon that's going to work. Happy days. Well, there you go. That's Flat Tank Journey for the week. That's enough. The video's really long and I've had a lot of sound problem, lost sound from a clip and you find out a week later. Also fried a laptop, so I'm on an old laptop of my wife's and trying to edit and it's not going super well. So I've done the best I can and I'm telling you the truth. And that's what this channel's all about. You saw the truth, you've seen the footage, you've seen the paint that's not so great, but it is what it is and I'm doing it myself. I hope you got something out of it. Say good day from wherever you are in the world. In the meantime, have a good one, eh? Cheers.